Hello! Welcome back to the Outlaws. This is going to be a review of God of War Ragnarok. Now, for anyone out there, especially if you're just about to watch this video, please watch it all the way through, or at least to this point, which is literally, 16 seconds. This is spoilers. Spoilers. Like a lot, because I'm going to cover the entire game, all the details, all the things I've learned, the gameplay, everything. So, guys, if you do not want to hear the spoilers of God of War Ragnarok, and I can't show gameplay because that I don't have the skills to like really trim up. Well, I couldn't. If I really wanted to show gameplay, that would be like a 20-hour day, and I can't do that because I have work tomorrow. Sorry, but this is just going to be discussing it just personally. I'm sorry. If you don't want to see my face, you can just listen to it. And if you want to just like watch someone else's, I don't care, but to each their own. But guys, I finished God of War Ragnarok last night. I'm gonna make more videos about it. I'm gonna keep pulling up my playlist and saying because I'm sorry I can't like upload a lot of videos of it because it takes a while to do, and my job makes it really difficult at night to make me upload things because it takes too long. I'll try to do it more now. Trust me, I will. Especially in the mornings, maybe at night I'll do my Into the Mics, and then in the mornings I get up early and upload a God of War edit and upload, but we'll see. Either way, guys. All right, so for me, for doing a little bit of side quests, I would say maybe like a fifth of all the side quests, maybe, and then that's not even a lot. I think I didn't do that many. I did explore. Oh, I did explore a good bit of the game. The game itself is really fun, but let's get into the beginning. All right, I finished the game exactly 31 hours and like 20 minutes. The game by itself, let's put it like this, guys. If you went from beginning to end straight campaign, just straight through the campaign, try to just get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. Well, not as quickly, but like you just, you were like, you know what, no side quest, do all that later, and you went through, you would probably be looking at like 26, 28 hours. Because I remember I have at least two videos of almost 3 hours combined time of just side quests. And I also looked and I also looked for all the little things in the areas. Like I looked for all the hack silver and stuff like that. So if we're gonna be quite honest, guys, if you literally just went, hey, I'm going to just slowly go through the campaign, but only the campaign, I don't look for all the secrets, you're looking at like a 25, maybe 24-hour game. It's not that is long. That is a good game. But for anyone out there who doesn't know, there is no New Game Plus. That is the first thing, and it pisses me the fuck off a lot. It pisses me off. I at least right now, I don't know if they will come out with one. I am sad about it. They do have like in-game stuff, and you can, go back after like you end it and then you go out and just finish whatever you need to. But after the game, you can only restart it. You can't go back. Oh, sorry. You can't go new game plus it and redo everything and get more stuff. There's no like secondary difficulty with better stuff, which makes me sad. Really does make me sad. Now, maybe the quest that you open up at the end give you more better stuff. I don't know. But it is a good game. So we're going to start getting to more of the story aspect. All right, guys, spoiler warning. Real big story. Really big spoiler. Tyr is alive, but he's not the one you meet. That is Odin. Odin has secretly been around you the entire time. He tricks you. Blah blah blah. That's how he knew about everything and all this shtick. He knew about all your plans and stuff. That's how. So anyone out there that wants to get mad, I'm telling you that's it. Tyr is alive though. There is a super secret area in one of the areas in Niflheim. If you already finished the game, go back to Niflheim. You'll find apparently a secret area there, and you will actually meet the real Tyr that's been alive there, because Niflheim is supposedly the first breath or something like that. Like that's what it was actually referencing to when the guy was on the map, or when the dwarf actually went to the map there. But to each their own. The game is good. I really enjoy it. The story is really good. It's complicated. It's convoluted, or it's complicated. It is. It is very emotional. I actually really enjoyed some of the parts of the game. It was really emotional. Man, it gets it tugs at your heartstrings, I think. At the same time, it is complicated, and it is also kind of over the place a little bit. It is good. Don't get me wrong. I like the twist of it, but at some times it was kind of like, oh, what? Why? What? What's going on? And then I'm sorry, I hate Atreus like half the time. Yes, he makes some smart things. He makes some smart things here and there, but half the time I just want to tell him, shut the fuck up and stop doing this, you little kid. Now I am glad that he went and was, able to grow up and, eventually show Kratos a few aspects, but it was still like, ah, he was like a very disrespectful little kid. That's all I'm gonna say. He is fun to be around. He's a good. They're all good characters. I enjoy them all. Hildisvini is cool, but I mean he was a side character that really doesn't matter. Another spoiler: Brock dies, and Sindri becomes essentially an unlikable character anymore, for at least for me, because they turned him into an asshat at the end. Now, yes, I get the aspects. Don't get me wrong. The points about it were that apparently because it's only at the end or near the end of the game that that Odin actually shows himself to be Tyr, and he like turns around, stabs Brock, kills him, and then he turns into Odin and tries to take Loki or Atreus, but they end up saving both him and the mask. So, but they realize that Odin was there the entire time. But Sindri blames Atreus because Atreus went to Asgard and all this other stuff and believed in like not Faye, but just tried it believed in trying to help Odin help him in a way. That kind of weird stuff. But but the whole thing about doing this cost Sindri his brother, who's also 3/4 alive, 1/4 dead. So that's a whole shtick. Yeah, that's why he's blue. Part of his soul is missing, or one of the four aspects is missing. But I just don't like that situation because I get it. The story is great. It does build it up and kind of makes it reasonable, but at the same time, you had to go and make him an unlikable character now. Because I understand him, but now I just don't like him because he's not cool anymore. He's not like nice and the person he used to be. Like I liked older Sindri. He was fun. He was cute. He was adorable. But now he's kind of just like a rough asshole now. Like because he's just full of hatred and shit. To each their own. You can agree or disagree. That's my opinion. He's not. I like him, but not as much anymore. He was cool. Atreus being an adult now or trying to go off and be an adult. That is the thing that happens. Loki Atreus literally goes off and just does whatever he wants now. He's just off with Angrboda, does whatever. Kratos is by himself with Freya and Mimir, and that's it. That's the crew now. So, um, you do fix the mask and you break it apart. At the end, Loki does that. But when that happens, he breaks it apart. It goes into the immortal, the infinite rift. The rift closes because I don't know how all that's fucking started anyway. And then yeah, you kill Odin. You actually put him in a marble, which well no, you put him in a marble and then Sindri smashes it. And then he disappears. I love it. I love it because he's just over here like fuck you and fuck all y'all, and then he just smashes it and leaves because he's just like fuck off. Odin did all this crap. We're not. Odin took my brother. You're not. I like that because everyone else was being real nice to Odin. I'm over here like he literally would murder y'all completely behind your backs if he ever got the chance, out. Yes, his soul's now in the marble, so he can't really go back anywhere. But it's the aspect of like he's Odin. He would find some way eventually, or someone would try and bring him back. And if he did, he would be, real problematic. But it was a good story. I liked it. Um, let's see. The, the story was kind of up and down everywhere. That was something that kind of bugged me a little bit. It had its twist, but it was just like up and down. You didn't really understand like half the story because it was, it was like a predisposition kind of thing where it's like the ending predisposition what happens in like the beginning and everything through. So kind of. But I did enjoy the story, but at the same time, it was kind of some of the things were kind of pointless. Maybe like they weren't pointless, but it is one of those things of like they realized like Kratos was like God, like he was the only one to help everyone to be able to figure out everyone else's problems, which I feel bad for because Kratos is just over here like leave me alone, I don't want to do shit. But he also realized like I have to do this or else nothing will be gained, nothing will leave us alone. But he was literally like the single-handed army that everyone needed to fix all their problems, which is kind of like okay. You do play as Atreus. He is fun to play with, play as. He is fun to play as, and it's great. It's great. I will say this: mechanically, the game is great. You do get a spear, and you do get 5 or 6 different types of shields. I think you might probably get maybe a new one if you've like finished the game, like fully finished the game. You might unlock a new shield. I don't know. I don't know. I maybe that would be a cool idea. I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna play the game again and go through it again, but because I'm sorry, but at that point I would have just play I feel mean, but I might just play God of War at that point because God of War has New Game Plus, so I can just go back and to each their own. But how would I say? Mechanically, the game is great. It is good. However, graphically, oh boy, if y'all watch my videos, which y'all should do, you will notice a lot of graphical errors. And I mean like enemies invisible, even though they're attacking you kind of problems. In one of the videos, you'll see one of the NPCs is spinning 360, like he's like turning left and right, but at, like One Punch Man, he's just it's great. It was beautiful. And all I did was open up the game and I popped up and then I turned to the right, just trying to look a certain way, and then I just noticed him in the corner. I was like, oh my god. But there was several graphical bugs. I'm playing on PS4, and when I say PS4, I think it was like my PS4 is a 1 terabyte. No, I think it's a 500 um Call of Duty Black Ops 3 edition, special edition Black Ops or PS4 pre-owned. It works, but the game had its graphical issues. Mechanically and like everything else, it ran well. I had no issues, but the graphics did have issues here and there, especially with the enemies popping in and out sometimes. Clear, visible like textures literally combining into each other that shouldn't. Like when Atreus finally hugs Kratos at like the end of the game, you notice like half his armor was like built into like Atreus. It's like okay, come on, guys. But I can't get mad. It's PS4. But I will say they needed to grant different combos. I'm sorry. I like the combos we had, and yes, you have more abilities and runic abilities, and then relics, and then more like runic attacks, heavies and lights. But the overall combo was the same, and you didn't actually even get your you didn't even do anything with like barehanded. I feel like they should have done more with barehandedness. I feel like they should have done more like hold down heavy attack. So not so that you don't see. That's the thing. They got rid of all the shield abilities, but they turned them into different types of shields, which they made them like abilities. And I'm like, no, don't do that. You should have literally made like you hold down, heavy attack barehanded. You just headbutt into someone. That would have been beautiful because it's something he would have done, maybe. But they should have added more combos or maybe just switched them up differently because I saw them in one game. I'm sorry. I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to see them, but maybe make a lot more combos or make the combo completely different. Or see, my thing about combos is because the skill tree changes them, they have to do it a certain way. But honestly speaking, I like games that have combos that are infinitely different um and that are not graphically, but their maneuverability of the combo is always different. One game that did this very well was actually a Lego game. It was Lego Star Wars chapter or Lego Star Wars 3. All of their combos were always different. Their moves were always different for a majority of it. Like they swung, like the AI for it always swung differently. There was now maybe after like you do it 100 times, you would eventually see a slight like repeatedness, but there was never really a repeat of attack. The attack was always different. I would have liked that, but the game is very, specific about it, so I know they couldn't have done that. They did bring in a new weapon, so yes, it was good to do that and stuff like that. Like, yay, they brought in something new. And the spear was great. But again, I wish they made more combos and stuff like that because I'm sorry. The whole axe thing, we saw that already. I feel like they could have done, or at least changed it, made it different, made some different abilities. I'm sorry, but you could easily see the copy and paste there. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I like that sometimes. There are some times where that works very well, and this time it did work pretty good. But it's the fact that it's a new game. Yes, you get a new weapon, you get your shield. Everything's different in some aspects, but the core combo you use is the same. Yes, you can, do your Y attack now and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy it all. But playing God of War twice, almost twice already, and then playing God of War Ragnarok, I would have liked to see different combos. I'm sorry. Or at least made a different set of them, or maybe make. Yes, there's light and heavy, but maybe change the light combo, make it completely different because that's the one you're probably going to use the most, obviously. I feel like I would have liked to see a more variety of weapons. I'm sorry. Yes, that's asking a lot, and yes, they try to give it, a lot of reason here to have weapons. Like you have it because you have it, you need it, and that's it. And yes, you had a lot of shields, but they're shields. We're not going to use them that much in the sense of like combat wise. They're for far more for blocking and shit like that. But I feel like yes, all y'all gonna scream and be like, well, they can't just drop in new weapons. Yes, they can. They did in the first one. They did in the first one, yes, and yes, the whole point is that's the whole point of the story is that he slowly unlocks his, weapons because that's kind of how it's needed. But they also incorporated barehandedness as a thing. In this game, they didn't. It was the axe, the blades that we've already seen. The combos are the same. I'm sorry, and then the spear. That's great and all. That is good. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't hate the game. I love the game, but there are things they could have done a little better, a little different. The game is definitely worth $50. I would not say it's 60. I'm sorry. Or 7. It's not 70. I'm sorry. It's not. The game and the story are good. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it truly is worth like a full $60. I don't think personally. But that's just me. Now, outside of that, I feel bad because the game it's linear but open world. but this game was more linear, far more linear. Yeah, it actually was far more linear because you can't go back to some areas until after you've already completed the game, and in some areas that are open world, you might as well have just done all the side missions there. But there's a possibility the enemies would have been like possibly 2 levels above you, and you're gonna get your ass whooped. So I don't know. Like the grave stalkers, the grave walkers. Yeah, you can't fight. You can try to fight a few of them. I know there's I think like 10 or 8 of them. Like you can fight a few of them and win, but there's a few of them that are like actual like they're like level 8, like sevens and sixes. So you can't do it until you're probably at the end of the game. So it's one of those things. And also, I'm sorry, but you know when you run into a certain area, you know immediately that there's enemies gonna pop out of nowhere, and you know that some areas are boss battles. Like there were some surprises. Don't get me wrong, but there wasn't outside of the story itself and all the information and lore. There wasn't a lot of surprises. There was new enemies. I like those. I liked it. I did like them. Don't I love them? Those were fun. The new enemies were great. I will say this: they gotta do something about the enemies like heavy lock-on system with their attacks. Like their attacks, rubber band. That's what it is. They have a major rubber band issue. I say. So, now you do too, but I don't think it's as bad because you won't like super swing into them. The enemy though, holy crap. You can't run away from a fight. Not unless you are far like already like halfway like a few feet away from them. You can't run away cuz some of their attacks like they run to you and then attack. And they sometimes don't stop running until they get real close to you and like start initiating the final like, movement. But man, one real big issue I really have with that game is that I didn't block too many times. Like, because you don't get the Guardian Shield until like 2/3 way through the game, so you have to be very careful with like your parrying and your dot and your blocking with certain shields. But the enemies, they had such a heavy rubber band mechanic on them to where they could move like a little hop, like a little skip, and they're like coming at you real. Even they could be a pretty good distance away, but even when you start dodging and moving away, they move back towards you. It was that is something I feel like some of y'all guys will notice and feel a real ick for, cause like I get it, and like I said, the only one there are a few acts, I think like, a few axe combos that have a little bit of rubber band in it and a little bit the ones that have the rubber band are kind of like the sprint forward attacks and maybe the hold down maybe the holded light combo. So like when you do your little dagger slashing, that one has a little bit, but outside of that, you can't run away from your enemies, man. And so you essentially have to like brute force. You can't like run back. Major thing that annoys me. When you use Valor to heal, you can still get hurt using it. You are not immune. So if you are in the middle of it and you get hit by like a really heavy attack, your health goes down. And then when you use Valor, it goes a little bit back, probably to where you just were. You didn't heal. You don't heal from Valor anymore because you still take damage while you're doing the ability. And you don't really, because if it's Valor and you're running away, you're trying to get away from people not to get damaged so you can use it, heal up, but you're not immune. And now, ifs, ands, or buts about it, ups and downs, who knows what's good and bad. The issue is if I'm trying to use an ability that straight up heals me, there is no point in having it if you get hurt during the time you have to use it, because it's not a short, like it's not a quick kind of ability. You like sit there for like I saw like like second and a half, 2 seconds almost, which in this game is a long time in the sense of like some people can really come up to you real quick and kill you if you're not careful, especially if you're low on health and you try to use it, and if you don't finish the animation and someone hits you, you die. Like I've died from trying to use Valor and getting hit during it and dying because you don't have any invincibility frames. Now, I don't think you should have invincibility frames, but I think you should absolutely either stun people when you just initially do it so it just stops them, or you should be able to just absolutely have a or your defense should really go high so if someone hits you at all it takes like a like 1% away, so that when you use it you actually use it. Like, okay, because the one in God of War where you use the rune or like you just do whatever the fuck, that one was great because it was quick, you did it, it was really quick. That's what I really enjoyed about it, was because when you did it, it was quick. You could get through the game. I don't remember it. I don't remember people being able to hurt you while doing it, but I don't remember getting hurt using it. It was just one of those things of your health goes down on anything you do. There are no invincibility frames from my understanding in anything. Now, yes, that's a good thing because you're a person, you can't really be invincible in the game. But at the same time, it's like there are certain like that, specifically Valor. Rage is different because you know you gain health while you're also being a a brute, but you also become like heavily more defensive and durable and stuff like that. So it's one of those things of, but when you are specifically trying to just simply use a healing ability, man, it's mm, that's my one big gripe about that, was that and the rubber banding of enemies. That those two really just got me. Let's see. Outside of that, like I said, there wasn't that many major new like things we haven't already seen. Outside of the fact of new areas, obviously, blah blah. Because outside of the general things we know that was going to be new and stuff, other than the weapon, and like, because from my understanding, we already knew before. I think before even the game came out that there was going to be multiple shields and stuff like this, like multiple shields, new areas. Obviously we're going to go to all 9 realms, so that's not really, yes, it's cool to look at, but it's not like the most extraordinary thing. But outside of that, there wasn't much real new concepts or mechanics truly built into the game outside of the Y, like the Y attack that helps charge up your like internal flames and cold abilities, or class acts, whatever. Outside of that and the new spear, there wasn't anything really new. It was just more of other things being revamped or repolstered, I guess, or yeah, renovated into something new. It's the same thing but just new lore, something like that. That's about it. The game is great, don't get me wrong. And don't get me wrong, it's a good game. But at the end, put it like this: if you know the mythology, or the more or less like kind of the general mythology of the legitimate like Nordic belief of Ragnarok and what happens, then yeah, that's it. Also, no offense to anyone out there, but if you watched um Thor Ragnarok, that's it. That's all you need to know. That's literally all you need to know. Except for the whole crown part. That one's really not. That one's different, but the whole like generally speaking, the whole, yes, there are different aspects, but if you know the general, not beginning, but like if you knew the general beginning of like you have to blow Gallowhorn and then Ragnarok comes to destroy, or Ragnarok returns and destroys Asgard, yeah, that's it. That's the story. Yes, there are other nuances and complexities because it's different characters and they added their own new spin to it. But outside of that, if you just were like, okay, so it's Ragnarok, yeah, so Ragnarok's going to occur. It's not like this new big surprise. I'm sorry. only because it was on something that people could easily look up and learn about, in the sense of like if you just knew the general mythology of it, possibly apply it to the game to certain aspects, you could probably figure out like, oh yeah, Odin, especially if you understand, especially if you understood the first God of War game, with how you know that Thor is not a good person, neither is Odin. Almost none of the Aesir gods were really good people, more or less. More or less, there's a few, but like they're not, the actual characteristics are not the same as like the Marvel things. If you knew the actual stories of like Odin and stuff like that, especially if you played Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, and stuff like that, you would understand. Actually, if you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla and then just apply that to God of War Ragnarok, you already understand like half the game, and you know exactly that like, yeah, nothing nothing good ever comes from Odin, Thor. Heimdall's a little different. Heimdall, I hated Heimdall so much. We are so happy we beat the living shit out of the kid. I'm so happy, even though he's literally like probably like 1,000 years old or something. Those are my gripes with the game. It is a good game. Y'all should go get it, but I would say maybe wait for like a sale to maybe make it like $45. I'm sorry. I think you should. That is just me personally, because the game is good. I am a God of War fan. I haven't played the first three. I'm sorry. I've seen them. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't play them because I wasn't old enough to, or something like that. I can't remember. They were older. But I do think personally, in comparison to just the regular God of War game, there's a chance you might have more fun with regular God of War. Because at least in God of War, you could just, new game plus it, keep going through a whole. You had your the replayability is far higher in God of War than God of War Ragnarok, because they don't have a new game plus. If they do bring it out, then it's different. Then it becomes a whole different thing. But once you finish the game, your 25, 30 hours, that's it. That's kind of it. Yes, there's this in-game stuff. And I might go back through it. I might actually try and go through it. I won't record it. I will just play it and see what the ending is, but that's my 2 cents for the game. All right. I hope y'all enjoy, and I might review some other games I finished later on. All right. I'll see y'all later. Okay. Enjoy.